Everyone, welcome to ChessAdvancedd. This game was played in FIDE Open of the MTX Chess Classic London, and with the white pieces we have Praggnanandhaa. I don't know why he's not playing in the elite section. I mean, if he had played, he would have been the top seed. But he's playing in the open section, and he's facing off against Gasanov. And this is going to be an epic game. Like, he really played like Tal, and you're going to love this game. So without further ado, let's start with this game. Hey, Praggnanandhaa starts with d4. We have knight to f6, c4, and e6. We go into the Eastern Indian defense. We have knight to c3 and immediate d5 striking in the center. C captures, e captures, going for the exchange variation of the queen's gambit. And here we have bishop to g5. And now just comes this bishop to e7, preparing castles, and we have e3, just finally going for castles. Bishop to d3, rook to e8 in this position. These are all standard opening moves, no need to worry about them. Knight g to e2, and now just comes knight bd7, and finally Pragg also goes for castles, and now just comes knight to f8. And there are a lot more moves that you can play in this position. You can go for f3, you can go for some moves like queen to c2, and maybe Pragg not wanting to make a committal decision with f3 right away, because then his pawn chain would be a little bit weak, so he goes for queen to c2 in this position. But now just comes h6, and we have bishop all the way back to h4, and finally c6 in this position. And now just comes a4, taking some space towards the queen side, and here just a5, not allowing and taking some space as well. But in this position, Pragg finally goes for it. He goes for the move f3, and now it's going to be an amazing game, because Pragg is definitely in his preparation, but let's see how far his preparation will lead him. A knight to e6 was played by Gasanov, and now just comes rook a to d1, just developing the rook, nothing else in this position. You can go for this knight to h5, a very nice line, asking for some trades, because you don't want to trade with the bishop pair. Honestly, if I have something prepared, I would rather keep the bishop pair than to lose it and actually go for an attack in this position. But after bishop to f2, the trouble is you have bishop to h4. It's a very annoying move. I'm definitely not thinking about playing a move like g3 in this position, and that's why you don't want to do that in this position. But here, queen to c1, and after this bishop captures, and after rook captures queen to g5, you can already see that there is some trouble in this position, and black can get some counterplay. But after this rook to e1, let's say b6 in this position to try and feint get to the bishop, or maybe even just allow the bishop to develop naturally. Here just f4, pushing the queen back. Queen doesn't have any squares. You cannot go here. You don't want to most likely go here, because that hinders the retreat square for the knight, so you're going to have to go back. And once you do g4 and knight to f6, now just comes this rook to g2, and I can get some very nice development in. But here, after rook a to d1, b6 was played immediately, and now just comes king to h1, a nice prophylactic move, the calm before the storm. Here bishop to b7, feint getting the bishop, but now just comes this bishop to f5, and now finally knight to g5, trying to get those knights developed. But here in this position, that allowed the move in this position that I want to play, which is this e4. So here Pragg goes for it. Pragg goes for e4 in this position, and now just comes g6, and it seems like you've just unfortunately trapped the bishop, haven't you? Or if you go back, you're just going to have to go for this g capture and ruin your pawn structure. Even if you go back to h3, that's going to be really bad. So what exactly is the idea? The idea in this position is to play like Tal, to think like Tal, and to go for that sacrifice with bishop captures on g6. An absolutely brilliant move, and I would have asked you to find it, but there are a lot more moves you can find in this position, because it's absolutely going to be a manic game. Here f caps on g6, but now comes the actual idea. e5, another brilliant move in this position. And what do you do in this position? You have absolutely nothing. The queen is coming in next, and where do you move it? Bishop captures, knight is also coming in. If you try to go for this knight to h7, then just comes this knight to f4 first. Now that's going to be impossible to save. Bishop to f8, but he just knight caps on g6. And if bishop to a6 in this position, attacking the rook, just rook to f2. And if queen to d7, just keeping an eye on everything, then just comes even f4. The knight has to move back, and now just comes rook to f3. The rook is coming in next, and it's going to be really impossible to survive, because the bishop can come in as well, and it's not a position you can do anything about. Bishop to b4, if you try to go for, then just comes f5. If knight to g5 again, then just comes rook to g1. You can even sack this, because if you go for this knight captures, then just comes this beautiful g captures, and now you're in the line of fire. Wherever you move this king, let's say you try to go here, but then that would be even possible. This is just absolutely insane position. And if you tried this knight to g5 in this position, then just comes bishop captures, and after pawn captures you have rook captures, and your position is entirely crumbling. You don't have anything. If you go for this bishop captures, then just comes even f6, and now you cannot survive. There's just too many things in this position. If let's say queen to f7 to try and survive in this position, then you have even ideas like knight to f4 check. The king goes to f8 to try and run, but you have this knight to g6 check once again. The king goes to g8, and now finally b caps on c3. Next the queen is coming in via this or this. It's just a very bad position to have. But after e5 here, just king to f7 was played. That's why deciding against saving the knight, but now just comes even knight to f4. And how are you surviving here is the question, and it's still looking very, very bad. Here, rook to g8 was played, just defending against that, but now just comes this e caps on f6. Pragg says thank you very much for the piece, and now just comes bishop captures. And in this position, I'm going to ask you to pause the video, try and find out this beautiful move that Pragg played next. I mean, it's an absolute audacious, amazing move that you're going to love. Like really, if you're able to find this out. So just have at it. Just look at this position, analyze this position for a while, and try to find this idea. It's a beautiful move in this here. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move. The move is not bishop to g3. The move is not a move which can be easily found out, but you need to have an amazing positional knowledge to be able to find this out, and you need to think like Tal. So with that in mind, the move is knight to e4. What a beautiful move in this position. I mean, really an absolutely amazing move, because you need to calculate everything. What happens if d caps on e4? If d caps on e4, then just comes queen to b3 check, and now you're in a lot of trouble. King to g7, bishop caps on g5. And if whatever you do in this position, let's say even if you capture this, it's not going to do you any good, because hey, just knight to e6 check, and that would mean that your queen falls, so you cannot really react to that bishop captures in this position. So let's say you try to go for this bishop to c8 to try and cover that square, but now just comes this bishop caps on f6 after queen captures, even f caps on g4. The rook is coming alive. The queen is already eyeing this. The knight checks are there in the position. It's a bad position. So king to h8 was played, but now just comes this queen caps on b6. Thank you very much for the pawn. If bishop to g4, now attacking that rook to c1. Now rook caps on c6 becomes an idea. This is a position you're absolutely not surviving, and all of that was possible because of just one move, that was this knight to e4. But here after knight to e4, bishop to e7 was played, not allowing and not even capturing this. So what are you going to do about that now? Because that knight is hanging there, you cannot keep it forever. So what is the idea here? Pragg again finds the right idea. He goes for this knight to f2, and now just comes this bishop to d6, but here just comes knight to d3, and now queen to d7 was played. But there are a lot more moves in this position you can win with, but the one triumphs against every other move in this position, and that move is f4, and Pragg was able to find that out on the board. Knight to e6 was played, but now just comes this knight to g4. I mean, there are a lot more threats. It's going to be a double focus, what you don't understand, because here after bishop captures, again it's knight captures, and again you go for the same fork. So a king to g7 was played, just moving away. But now there was a beautiful move once again. I'm going to ask you to pause this video, because it's such an amazing position that you can just analyze this position for hours, and you'll be able to find this amazing ideas. So I'm asking you to pause this video. It didn't take me that much time to find this out, so you can too. So just pause it, have a look at this position and try to find out this move. Have at it. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move. The move is f5. Congratulations on being a spectacular attacker, because this move completely wins the game. Because here after g captures, now you go for this knight d to e5. You even leave the knight hanging, and if bishop captures, knight captures, attacking the queen. Queen to e8 in this position, but now just comes this queen caps on f5, and now those pieces are coming together towards your king. Rook to f8. Hey, bishop to f6 check. You cannot even go for captures, because otherwise you just get mated. So here king to g8, but now just comes this knight to g6, attacking that rook. Knight to g7, attacking the queen in this position, so you have to react to that, but now just comes queen to g4. If a rook to f7, keeping everything intact and trying to not go down in exchange, knight to e5 again, going for that rook. The rook moves, and now you have this very nice rook d to e1, aligning the rook against the king, against the queen, and it's going to be really bad, because once the king goes anywhere in this position, there could be some discoveries. So here queen to h5, asking for a trade, but you don't trade, you just go back. And after bishop to a6, attacking the rook, now comes the rook to f4, the very nice rook left to be able to go for this. And let's say you try anything, queen to e8, rook to g4, and how are you ever getting out of this pin? I mean, this is also an idea. This is just such a bad position to have, and you could have resigned right there, but f5 is a move that would have crushed. But after king to g7, bishop to f6 check was played, but Pragg here in this position. I was going to say Mikhail Tal, but mind me for that. Hey, king to h7, but now just comes even f5. Pragg was able to find the idea just one tempo short. Knight to f8 in this position, bishop to e5 here, and now just comes bishop to e7. Here just f caps on g6. We have rook captures, but here rook to f7 check was played, and now the trouble for Gasanov is that he's just getting checkmated. King to g8, and here just comes this knight caps on h6, and in this position Eldar Gasanov resigned the game, because the trouble is he's just getting mated in next 10 moves. And the thing is that, hey, let's say you try to go for this rook caps on h6, then just comes this rook to g7 check. Wherever the king moves, you have a windmill type structure, but you don't want to do that here in this position. You can, just even capture this, and that would come with an attack towards the queen as well, so that would be completely winning. But you can try to go for the king in this position and mate in 10 moves. Queen to d2 is the idea, just hitting the rook. And here, let's say you try to go for this rook to h5 to try and survive, but then just comes queen to f4. If bishop to d6, all of these moves are forced. Rook to g5 check, and now what do you do here? Bishop caps on e5, then just comes this queen caps on e5, that also comes with a check. King to h7, but here just rook caps on h5, king to g6, rook to f1, and here what do you do? Queen to e7. Let's say you try to defend against all the checkmates, but you have this knight to f4 check, and after king to f7, knight caps on d5. If queen to f6, here just queen caps on f6, king to g8, and knight to e7 would be a very beautiful checkmate. The queen is covering all of this, and the rook is covering this. This is just a very, very sad checkmate that could have appeared on the board. But after king to g8 and knight caps on h6, here Eldar Gasanov resigned the game, and hey, Pragg created that absolute Tal-Esque of a game. It was absolutely amazing. Two of the brilliant moves, both sacrifices, and what an awesome attacking game that he created. An absolute masterpiece he created, and won in less than 40 moves. I mean, it just took him 32 moves to be able to win this one. Absolutely spectacular. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with some of these awesome, amazing games, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and well, I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching.